was a piece of work. I must say that. And anybody that knew her, will certainly agree.
Knowing both of those girls forever and a day, I know my sister Dionne, it ain't nothing to her. Okay. It ain't nothing. Now, Ree is a little bit different. One of those things, everybody got their little knickknacks going on. Dionne's going to speak her mind, and she's going to tell the truth. Ree is going to be sensitive and cause a whole lot of riffraff.
For years, people have wondered about the real story between Dionne Warwick and Aretha Franklin. Were they friends, or was there secret drama? Finally, Dionne Warwick has spoken out, and what she said confirms what many feared.
He used to voice at me by saying, no, you just wait until I get ready to give it out. And, well, you don't talk to me that way.
Truth is, Aretha never let go of the grudge. From when Dionne took I Say a Little Prayer, made it bigger, to the real fallout that happened at Whitney Houston's funeral. And years later, well, let's say there was no forgiveness, just a decades of tension. Let's get into it. So Aretha Franklin and Dionne Warwick were two of the biggest stars in music. They both had powerful voices and unforgettable songs. But when two stars shine so bright, there is often competition. And in this case, that competition lasted for decades. In the 1960s, both women were making a name for themselves. Aretha Franklin, known as the Queen of Soul, had a voice full of deep emotion. She played the piano and sang with passion, bringing gospel and R&B together in a way that touched people's hearts. Songs like Chain of Fools and I Never Loved a Man, The Way I Love You, showed her raw, powerful talent. She was also connected to the civil rights movement, singing about strength and freedom. Dionne Warwick, on the other hand, had a softer, more elegant style. Her voice was smooth, and she worked closely with songwriters Burt Bacharach and Hal David. They gave her polished, beautiful songs like Walk On By and Do You Know the Way to San Jose. Her music was more controlled, classy, and sophisticated. While Aretha was full of power and soul, Dionne's voice floated like silk, making her one of the biggest pop stars of her time.
I'll be on your side forevermore.
At first, both women had respect for each other, but then things started to change. In 1967, Dionne recorded I Say a Little Prayer. It was a sweet, gentle song that became a hit. But then, Aretha decided to record her own version. Aretha's cover wasn't just another song. It was a statement. She turned the light pop song into a deep, gospel-style masterpiece. She had Cissy Houston, Dionne's own aunt, singing backup vocals, making the connection even stronger. Aretha's version of I Say a Little Prayer became a huge success. It climbed the charts, even doing better than Dionne's original. Then came a moment that must have hurt Dionne. Burt Bacharach, the very man who wrote the song, said that Aretha's version was much better. It was a public stamp of approval for Aretha, and a clear reminder to Dionne that Aretha was a force to be reckoned with. Through it all, Dionne Warwick kept her cool. She never spoke badly about Aretha in public. Her spokesperson, Angelo Ellerby, once said, "Dionne has always spoken favorably about this lady." Whether or not she was hurt by Aretha's actions, she never let it show. Now let's talk about their feud. It all started at Whitney Houston's funeral. Aretha was supposed to attend, but she called to say she couldn't make it. She said her ankles were swollen and she had a performance at Radio City Music Hall that night. Because of this, she decided to stay home and rest.
We look back and we acknowledge one of the finest young singers that ever stepped before a microphone.
At the funeral, Dionne Warwick made a statement that many people felt was shady. She stood up in front of the crowd and mentioned Aretha as if she was there. She introduced her like she was about to speak, even though everyone already knew she wasn't coming. Franklin was not there. Warwick quickly corrected herself, but still told everyone that Franklin was Houston's godmother. She said, "Ree's not here, but she is here. She loves Whitney as if she were born to her. She is her godmother." Some people saw this as a mistake, but others believed Dionne did it on purpose to embarrass Aretha. It was a moment that had people talking for years.
I've been knowing both of those girls forever and a day. I know my sister Dionne, it ain't nothing to her. Okay. It ain't nothing. Now, Ree is a little bit different, you know.
Aretha, being the strong woman she was, did not let it go. She was upset that Dionne made it seem like she just didn't show up when she had a real reason for missing the funeral. Some people thought Aretha was overreacting, but others felt she had a right to be mad. After all, why would Dionne bring up her name if she knew she wasn't there? It seemed like a little dig, something meant to make Aretha look bad.
Ree's not here.
She said Warwick lied when she told people that Franklin was Whitney Houston's godmother. Franklin, who was 75 at the time, spoke to the Associated Press and even sent a long fax to explain why she was so angry. Even though Whitney's mother, Cissy Houston, later confirmed that Franklin was not Whitney's godmother, Franklin was still upset about Warwick's words. She believed it was wrong for Warwick to say something that was not true, especially at such an important event. Franklin did not speak about it right away because there were already too many stories in the media about Houston's life, her struggles, and her death. Franklin did not want to add more drama at that time.
Aretha pissed off Dionne Warwick, and this has been going on for the last 5 years, maybe more.
Years later, Aretha and Warwick saw each other again at an event for Clive Davis's documentary, Clive Davis, The Soundtrack of Our Lives. Aretha performed at the event, and Warwick was there too. Warwick tried to be friendly and asked for a hug, but Aretha refused. She told Warwick, "Oh, hell no, you couldn't be serious." She still had not forgiven her. When asked if she wanted an apology, Aretha said she didn't care about that. It wasn't about saying sorry, it was about correcting a false statement.
Aretha and Dionne see each other last week at the Tribeca Film Festival here in the city. And Dionne tried to hug Aretha, and Aretha turned and said, "Oh, hell no!"
She did not want people to believe something that wasn't true. Franklin even called Warwick's words libelous, which means she thought it was harmful to her reputation. She also made it clear that she and Warwick had never been friends. She believed that Warwick had never really liked her. When reporters asked Warwick's team for a response, her representative simply said that Warwick would not respond to Franklin's statement. Warwick did not want to argue or add more to the situation.
I've been knowing both of those girls forever and a day. I know my sister Dionne, it ain't nothing to her. Okay. It ain't nothing. Now, Ree is a little bit different.
Franklin, however, remained firm in her belief that Warwick had done her wrong. Even though many years had passed, she did not forget what happened. Some fans felt that the whole thing was unnecessary. They thought Aretha and Dionne should have just talked and fixed their issues. But others believed Aretha had every right to be upset. She had been in the music business for decades, and she wasn't about to let anyone disrespect her.
She faxed a long rant to the Associated Press, calling Dionne, among other things, her statement being libelous. So I guess she intends on suing.
She was the queen of soul, and she expected to be treated like one. Even their fellow music legends had opinions. Gladys Knight, who was close to both Aretha and Dionne, didn't hold back when she weighed in. Even after Aretha passed away in 2018, Dionne expressed her sadness and called Aretha her friend. However, many saw this as another jab, considering their complicated history.
One of those things, you know, everybody got their little knickknacks going on. Dionne's going to speak her mind, and she's going to tell the truth. Rhea's going to be sensitive and cause a whole lot of riffraff.
Aside from her feud with Aretha Franklin, another controversy that Dionne found herself in was when she became the face of the Psychic Friends Network. This was a TV infomercial service where people could call a 900 number and pay to talk to a psychic. The most famous psychic on the show was Linda Georgian, who claimed to give people insights into their future. The Psychic Friends Network was popular from 1991 to 1998, with Warwick earning about $3 million each year from her role as the spokesperson.
Today, you'll find out what Dionne Warwick has to say about the Psychic Friends Network.
The Psychic Friends Network was wildly successful, with its infomercials running on TV often, making it one of the top infomercials at the time. People loved to see Warwick on TV, but not everyone thought her new role was a good fit. Her friend and tour manager, Henry Carr, once shared a story about how Warwick felt when a young fan at an airport called her the psychic lady from TV.
Anyone watching this show can benefit from speaking to a psychic.
Meet Psychic to the Stars, Linda.
This upset Warwick, who had spent years building her reputation as a serious singer and didn't want to be remembered mainly for her psychic show. In 1998, however, things took a turn. Infomation, the company that ran the Psychic Friends Network, went bankrupt. This marked the end of Warwick's involvement with the network, and she moved on from her role as the Psychic Lady. During this time, Warwick continued her music career, but her albums didn't see the same level of success, marking a quiet period in her music career. Alongside these challenges, Warwick faced a bigger issue with her charity, the Warwick Foundation. She started this foundation in 1989 to help AIDS patients and organized concerts to raise money for the cause.
It didn't take witchcraft on Dionne Warwick's part to get Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. to join her in declaring war on AIDS. Dionne hosted a star-studded gala on behalf of the Warwick Foundation for AIDS Education.
However, in 1993, an investigation by ABC's news show Day One, hosted by Forrest Sawyer, accused the foundation of mismanaging its funds. According to the report, only about 3% of the money raised actually went to AIDS charities, while most of it went to cover administrative expenses. This meant Warwick's charity spent most of its money on things like first-class flights and fancy hotel rooms, with little left for AIDS patients.
That's the reason for evenings such as this.
Yeah.
People such as these that give their time and bring out folks who have the dollars to continue to fight to get to that close.
I brought $4 with me. I don't know about you.
The report shocked many people and led to a lot of criticism. Some AIDS groups said they were left in debt after partnering with her foundation, while others accused Warwick of not doing enough to help the cause. Warwick defended herself, saying the report was unfair and racially biased. She even considered suing ABC for defamation, but ultimately no lawsuit was filed.
Tickets to the benefit, kicking off an entire weekend of AIDS events, cost between $500 to $1,000, a small price to pay for a big cause.
The ABC report gained a lot of attention and even won awards for investigative journalism. After the scandal, the Internal Revenue Service, IRS, began looking into the Warwick Foundation. Eventually, the charity was dissolved, bringing an end to Warwick's involvement in AIDS fundraising. Over the decades, Warwick has faced numerous personal tragedies. She has endured the loss of siblings, a nephew, and, notably, the passing of close family members like her Aunt Cissy Houston. Dionne Warwick was heartbroken over the passing of her beloved aunt. Cissy was 91 years old when she passed away peacefully at her home in Newark, New Jersey. She had been in hospice care due to Alzheimer's disease.
Tributes are pouring in for legendary gospel singer Cissy Houston. The two-time Grammy winner and mother of Whitney Houston died yesterday in her New Jersey home at age 91.
Dionne shared her sadness on social media, saying that losing her aunt is very painful, but she also finds peace in knowing that Cissy is now in a better place. She thanked everyone for their kind words and support during this difficult time. Losing someone so close is never easy, but Dionne is holding on to the happy memories they shared. Cissy Houston was not just an aunt to Dionne. She was also a strong influence in her life. Cissy was a talented singer who had a long career in the music industry. She started as a gospel singer with the Drinkard Singers, a family group managed by Dionne's mother, Lee. Singing was an important part of their family, and music brought them closer together. Dionne often remembers how she called her Aunt Cissy when she was little, but because they were close in age, she always saw her as more like an older sister. They grew up singing together, and those moments were full of joy and laughter.
She would say to me at all times, "Believe that, Dionne." And I do. "Cissy, I'm gonna miss you." "Yeah, I'm gonna miss you."
Cissy had a strong and beautiful voice, which she passed down to her daughter, Whitney Houston. Just like her mother and aunt, Whitney grew up singing in church. Music was in their blood, and their voices were a gift that touched many lives. Dionne always believed that singing was something they were born to do. Cissy played a big role in guiding Whitney's career. She helped train her and taught her the importance of hard work and dedication. Whitney became one of the greatest singers in the world, and she always credited her mother for shaping her talent. Cissy's love and support were always there for her daughter. When Whitney Houston tragically passed away in 2012, it was one of the hardest moments for Cissy. She wrote a book called Remembering Whitney, where she shared stories about her daughter's life and career. Dionne wrote the foreword for the book, showing her deep love and respect for her aunt. She described Cissy as a strong woman who always wanted the best for her family. Cissy was known for giving good advice and encouraging her loved ones to chase their dreams. No matter what happened, she stood by her family through the good and bad times. She was a source of strength for everyone who knew her.
While you're up there, say hello to my mommy, my daddy, my sister, my brother, my aunts, my uncles, and all that went before you. They're all waiting for you.
The Houston family shared a heartfelt message after Cissy's passing. They called her the matriarch of the family, a woman of great faith who always cared for others. She was not just a mother and grandmother, but also a mentor and a guiding light. Her family feels grateful to have had her for so many years. Though they will miss her, they take comfort in knowing she is now at peace. They believe she is reunited with her daughter Whitney and granddaughter Bobby Christina, who both passed away too soon. Their love for Cissy will never fade, and her legacy will live on through the music and memories she left behind. Warwick faced tough times financially. Back in 2013, she made a difficult choice to file for bankruptcy because her debt had become overwhelming. This was mostly due to tax problems, along with financial mismanagement by those she trusted.
Dionne Warwick has filed for bankruptcy. The Grammy Award winner owes $10 million, mostly in back taxes. Her publicist blames it on years of negligent financial mismanagement.
Dionne's financial issues didn't happen overnight. According to her, from the late 80s to the mid-1990s, the people she trusted with her money didn't manage it well. This mismanagement led to huge debts piling up. By 2013, Warwick had very few assets. She listed just $25,500 in her name. But her debt was enormous, totaling over $10.7 million. Of this debt, most was unpaid taxes. In fact, she owed the government about $6.9 million, a number that kept increasing over time due to penalties and interest. Filing for bankruptcy was only the beginning of Warwick's battle. She wanted her tax debt, which had been adding up since the early 1990s, to be forgiven. She hoped a court order would protect her assets from being seized by the IRS, the government agency responsible for collecting taxes. However, the IRS didn't let go easily. Even though her bankruptcy case should have wiped out most of her old tax debt, the IRS fought back, saying they still had the right to go after her money.
The 5-time Grammy winner is listing personal assets of only $25,000.
At one point, Warwick claimed that the IRS had broken a judge's order by trying to take her money over new tax bills for 2011 and 2012. The IRS discovered these new taxes because, according to them, Warwick hadn't reported all her income. Warwick was furious and asked the court to punish the IRS, as she felt they were ignoring the court's instructions not to seize her assets while the case was unresolved. The back and forth between Warwick and the IRS stretched on for years. The case was even scheduled to go to trial at one point. However, due to a government shutdown, the trial was delayed. Eventually, in a surprising turn, the case was dismissed, ending the years of back-and-forth battles.
Raised her voice at me by saying, "No, you just wait until I get ready to give it around." And, well, you don't talk to me that way.
Dionne got into trouble at an airport. She was at Miami International Airport when security checked her bag. They found something inside that was not allowed. The security officers looked inside her carry-on bag. They found a small lipstick container. But inside the container, there was no lipstick. Instead, there were small, rolled-up cigarettes. The officers suspected these cigarettes contained marijuana, which is illegal in many places. Warwick was stopped and questioned by the officers. They wanted to know why she had the cigarettes in her bag. After checking, they found out that the total amount of marijuana was less than 5 grams. Even though it was a small amount, she was still in trouble because carrying marijuana in an airport is against the law. She was charged for having marijuana with her. This means she had to deal with the police and the legal system. Many people were surprised. Some fans were shocked, while others supported her. After this, she continued with her career, but this moment was something people did not forget. Now let's change gears and talk about her career and the challenges she faced. Warwick has a very special voice. It is deep and rich, but she can also sing high notes. This makes her voice different from many other singers. People say her voice is husky, which means it has a warm and slightly rough sound. This is one of the things that makes her songs special. When she was younger, her voice had a very wide range. She could sing low like a contralto and high like a soprano. This made her performances very interesting. Even as she got older, her voice stayed beautiful. Some people say it became even more special with time. It got deeper, but it still sounded smooth and full of emotion. Dionne Warwick knows how to use her voice in a way that makes people feel something. She doesn't just sing words, she brings them to life. Her singing is soft and elegant, but also strong. Even when she sings simple songs, her voice makes them sound deep and meaningful. Many of her biggest hits were written by Burt Bacharach and Hal David, a songwriting team that worked closely with her. Together, they made some of the most famous songs in music history. Their work helped Warwick become a star, and her records sold very well. In the early 1970s, Warwick made a big career decision. She left Scepter Records, the company where she had started, to sign a new deal with Warner Brothers Records. This was a huge step for her career. Warner Brothers offered her a $5 million contract, which was the biggest deal ever given to a female singer at that time. This showed how important and valuable she was in the music industry. Before leaving Scepter, she worked on the soundtrack for the movie The Love Machine. She even made a small appearance in the film, though her name was not listed in the credits. This was her last project with Scepter Records before moving on to Warner Brothers. Things were not going well behind the scenes. Bacharach and David, the songwriters who helped make Warwick famous, had problems with Scepter Records. They said the company was not paying them the money they were owed. They took legal action and won the case, receiving nearly $600,000. They also got the rights to all the music they had created for Scepter. After Warwick left, Scepter Records struggled with money problems. The company could not survive and had to shut down. It was later sold to another business. At Warner Brothers, Warwick was excited to start fresh. She returned to New York to record her first album under the new label. The album was called Dionne, but it did not do as well as expected. It only reached number 1, 57 on the music charts. Even though the results were disappointing, she remained hopeful. However, around this time, something unexpected happened. Bacharach and David decided to stop working together. This was a huge problem for Warwick. She had built her career with their songs, and now she had to find new songwriters and producers. She worked with different people, trying to create the same magic as before, but it was not easy. Fans were used to her classic sound, and the changes were difficult for them to accept. Warner Brothers was also unhappy. They had paid Warwick a lot of money, expecting her to continue making hits, but without Bacharach and David, it was much harder. The label felt they were not getting what they had paid for. Because of this, Warwick decided to sue Bacharach and David. She claimed they had promised to keep working with her, but had broken that promise. She took them to court and asked for $5.5 million. After years of legal battles, they finally reached a settlement in 1979. Warwick received $5 million and also gained the rights to all the songs they had created together. This was a tough period in her career, but she kept moving forward. Warwick's voice and talent remained strong, and she continued to be a respected singer in the music world.